Is your trampoline a mess of ropes and you'd like it to be tidier? Then maybe this can help. We're going to look at takeaway systems on a Hobie Tiger, F18, Tornado or similar. Hello, it's Joe here for Joyrider TV. Today I'm going to be looking at how you can set up some takeaway systems on your boat. These are going to be taking away specifically the jib sheet and the downhaul, and this takeaway is going to take these ropes into the front beam. So this will actually be the same for the jib sheet and the downhaul. The downhaul's already done on this boat, which means that if we need more rope we can just pull it, it's on elastic, and then when we're done with it, it will go back into the beam, keeping it all very tidy. So we want to set it up also for the jib sheet. So the first thing that I've done here is I've made sure that the jib sheet is even, which means we've got the same amount of sheet pulled through to either side of the boat. The way that I've done that is by taking the jib sheet from the cleats on both sides and pulling it to the front, making sure that I've got both ends at the same time. That way I know that the jib sheets are even. What we then need to do to make sure that the jib sheet is the right length is, with the jib sheeted in as hard as it will ever go, what we need to do is just to look at the length. That needs to be long enough to go to the end of the beam, so we can just hook it around this nut, this bolt here, and then to the end of the beam on this side. Not quite the end of the beam, we want it a little bit shorter than that, but so this jib sheet is the right length, and because we've found the middle of the jib sheets, we know that the other side is going to be exactly the same. From here inside the beam there's going to be a small block in here. These are generally fitted already, but if they're not, you can just tie a small block into the inside of the beam. Okay, so here's a fairly decent representation of what wants to be going on inside your front beam. The stripy rope here, this is representing your jib sheet. So here we can see the jib sheet is coming in through the end of the beam, going all the way along. This is with it sheeted in hard, by the way. And then at this end it's going to meet the shock cord. The shock cord is then going to go up, down, up, and then that's going to meet the other end of the jib sheet. Again, it's sheeted in hard at this point, and then that's going to come out through the end of the beam and then meet up with the rest of the jib system. The first thing we need to do is take the end caps off the front beam. This is usually with some screws, and then we can just take the end cap off, and then here we are. And what we have is, with the Hobies generally it will have these blocks, small blocks already fitted, and that is going to be where the elastic goes. So we've developed here at Wildwind a method of doing this which makes it quite quick and easy to set up, but also it means when you drop your mast, if you have to take your mast off, it's easier to do. It's, the jib sheet can stay on indefinitely, but the downhaul will need to be detached if we're taking the mast from the boat. So we've got our jib sheet. We're also going to need some heavyweight whipping twine. Trying to find out what weight that is. Doesn't say. Heavyweight whipping twine, the heaviest that you can find, or even a 1.5mm rope will work there. And then we're also going to need a needle. And what we're going to do, what we're aiming to do here, is to leave a loop at the end of the jib sheet, and onto that loop we can attach the elastic. So we're going to take some whipping twine. We'll just cut that off using the Gerber. You can find knives in my Amazon storefront. Head over to the link if you need a knife. I find this Gerber suspension paraframe knife very useful. I have it on me at all times. So it doesn't need to be right at the end. We'll go, it's about 10 mil from the end. If it's difficult to get the needle through, I'll just actually use the knife to push it through. There we go, and I'm going to go through there again. Bit easier the second time. And then I'm going to go through there one more time. And then I can remove the needle. And then what we're looking for is 2 loops. I'm going for 2 loops because it's twice the strength. If you're using the 1.5 mil rope, then 1 loop will be enough. And then to finish this off, I'm just gonna wind the excess rope around. You can finish this however you like, but I'm just going to tie it off with a reef knot. The good thing about whipping twine is it's waxed, which means it kind of sticks to itself, which means if you tie a knot like a reef knot in the whipping twine, it's going to stay in there pretty well. So here is the end result. We've got the end of the jib sheet and we've got the loop in the end there. So the elastic that you're going to need is going to need to be either the same as the width of the boat. So for a Tiger, that's 2.60 meters. For a Tornado, that's 3 meters. For whatever your boat is wide, it will be the same. If you're wanting to go 3 ways for extra stretch with a double block at both ends, then you're going to need the shock cord to be 3 times the width of the boat. That is the ideal, but for the example here, we're just going single width. Thank you. Okay, so then we're taking our shock cord. I'm using a 3 mil shock cord here, but 4 mil will be fine. 5 mil is perhaps a little bit too chewy, so 4 mil should be the biggest that you go for, but the 3 will be good as well. And then to attach the shock cord to the end of the jib sheet on the loop we've just made, what we're going to do is I'm just going to tie a small knot in the end of the shock cord like this, and then we're going to just tie a very simple knot, the same again in fact, getting the knot right against the knot, and that's how I'm going to attach that. That is not going to come untied, but then when we do want to untie it, we will be able to. Okay, so for the next part, for the threading the elastic, you're going to need a long pole or stick. This needs to be longer than the width of the boat, so I'm using some aluminium tube here, which we use for some of our tiller extensions. You could use a long batten as long as it was quite stiff. You don't want anything too floppy going in there because that will just get stuck. And then what we're going to do is put the stick all the way through the front beam. There are some bulkheads inside the front beam which it might get caught on, so you might have to look down there, find out which way it's catching, and then just continue poking it through. Okay, so there it is, the pole has come all the way through the beam there. The next bit, this is quite important to remember, because if you forget this it could really ruin your day because you have to do it again, is you need to make sure that you pass the shock cord through the hole in the cap from the end of the beam. And then I'm going to tie it onto the stick using a clove hitch, tied quite tight, and then all we need to do to pull that through is pull the stick out from the other end, and that is going to pull it, the shock cord, all the way through the beam. So there we go, we're pulling it out, being quite gentle. If it catches, we're not just going to pull it because it might slip it off the end. And there we go, there's the shock cord. So there, I'll pull a fair bit of that through just now. Might have to go and feed it from the other side a bit. Oh, there we go. So I'll untie that from the end of the stick. And then this is the tricky bit. We need to get the shock cord through the pulley inside the beam. So there I'm actually using a screwdriver to hold it in position. But if you tied your pulley on with a slightly longer rope, you could actually pull the block out of the end of the beam, which would make it a lot easier to put it in. But seeing as we've got blocks already in the beam, I'm not going to take it out now. And then I'll just be able to poke the shock cord through from there. Okay, so there I just hooked the shock cord out with my finger. Now I'm just going to pull it all through the block now. And then what we're going to do is tie the end of the shock cord back onto the stick and then poke the stick back through and pretty much repeat the operation at the other end. So let's do that. Okay, so there we go, emerged. So I'm going to untie the shock cord from the end of the stick, put it through the block, and then take it back the other way. There we go, so that's through the block now. I just need to put the stick back through, tie it onto the stick, and then pull it out the other end. The shock cord, we've taken it off the stick. We've put the jib sheet through the end cap there, and I've tied it on, but I haven't pulled the knot all the way against the knot, because what we have to do here is just check that it is the right length. So I'm just going to let this go and see if it pulls the jib sheet all the way in. We'd like it to pull it all the way in just about, so it's not really tight. So there it goes, and that is pretty good actually. We are bearing in mind, if we put the end cap back on, but that is with the jib as tight as it will go, so we've just got a little bit of jib sheet out. But ideally what we want is that a little bit tighter. So what I'll do is just shorten the shock cord a little bit, and then that should pull it in the rest of the way. So we'll pull him out again. Let's see how that takes it. Okay, that's good. So now all we've got to do is replace the screws in the end caps, and then we're ready to go. Very good. So you can repeat that process for the downhaul as well, and off you go. You should have a much tidier boat. So with these ropes being taken away, we've then only really got the spinnaker sheet and the spinnaker halyard on the trampoline, a much tidier trampoline. There we go. So to summarize, what you're going to need is the jib sheets so that they're the right length as explained at the start. The ideal is to have the shock cord just under 3 times the width of the boat, a double block tied into the ends of the front beam, and that would be the same for the jib sheet and the downhaul. With the downhaul rope, that would be the rope being again balanced, and when you've got the downhaul on full, you want that to be so that the end of the downhaul rope gets to the opposite end of the front beam to set the length of your downhaul rope. So thanks for watching. I hope this has been the information that you needed on such a day as this here in Vasiliki Beach. I'm joined here by Big Nige.
Good afternoon. Of
the Wild Wind alumni. He's out, he's down with it. He subscribes to Joyrider TV.